are having our monthly meeting of the Board of School Trustees. The business meeting is Tuesday, May 9th, and we are here at the Administration Building. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I think we have a presentation today.
That's already right.
That's you.
Wow,
You're up.
that is super fast. I like that. All right. So, Gabe Nobby, this is Isla Carmeyer, Ellie Haldeman, and Christina Caldwell. We're going to do a little presentation on ag and FFA here. So, I'll just start us off here real quick. So, the first thing, just tell you a little about the ag department, told you who they were, and I'm going to turn it right over to Ms. Harmeyer.
So what we are going to kind of cover is our Ag Ed model. So this is the start of what you kind of have to give your kids a well-rounded agriculture education. So there's 3 pieces to it. So it is the SAE piece, so that is your supervised agriculture experience. So that is our students going outside of class time and doing something in ag. It could be just having like a tomato plant that they care for at home or 100 head of cattle. So there's a lot of room to kind of do different things there for them. Then the next one is classroom laboratory. That's what we're here for. So that's our class, that's doing labs, like raising our school animals and having our school farm and our school greenhouse. And then the final piece is FFA. So that's what the girls are really here to kind of hit on, but that's all the extra things on top of what we do in class and what we do with SAEs.
So, just give you just a little bit here on the class thing. These are our current classes. We have exploration of ag at the middle school. First time in, oh golly, I think 44 years there's been a middle school ag class. So that's been tremendous. So that's been a wonderful, wonderful addition. Ms. Harmeyer is teaching that. We're going to talk about each one of these things just a little bit more in depth. Principles of Ag, which is the first introductory class at the high school. And you'll see that there are dollar amounts on those. Those are amounts that the state provides that are extra funds for CTE classes. So this year, Principles of Ag generates an additional $400 per student. Really interesting though, the state changed that, and they change them every year. And next year, it'll be $680 per student, or maybe more. I looked at the budget in the most recent budget the Senate passed and the House passed. They upped that between $20 and $50, but they didn't specify which one was which. But $680 at least, so that's fantastic. But that's not all good news, because we go to animal science, and animal science is another class. That one was $400. They dropped that one to $200. So it's whatever. Ag Power is a great class that we teach that's about introducing kids to all the facets of agriculture work that are more hands-on. So you're talking work with engines, welding, construction, wiring, plumbing, those types of things. That class was a $680, and that one will remain there for next year. Plant science, that one dropped as well, which I'm super shocked about, because there's tons of plant jobs around. I've had, in the last probably 3 weeks, I bet I've had no less than 8 phone calls from employers looking for kids that want to work. So that one's really, really neat, but it did drop. The great news is for next year, as we look at our numbers, the classes that are the heavily populated by students are going to be the biggest money getters from the school. So that's really good for the school corporation. And then Advanced Life Science Animals, which is our most advanced class. That one, we won't be offering that next year, but this year we did get $400 per student. All right, let's show you some pictures here for exploratory ag.
So I'm going to start us off kind of hitting like each of our classes just a little bit more in depth, and then showing you some images of what we do in class with our Exploration of Agriculture class. So it is a semester class for 8th graders, and we essentially just try to hit like every big area of ag for like a week or two. And really kind of hit like careers pretty hard of like, what can you do with this? Because the kids just can't understand that like there's a lot of ways that it's an ag job, and they just have never thought of it as an agriculture job. So the one image, they are building habitats for an animal. So they each got assigned like a squirrel or a bird, and then they had to build a habitat out of like sticks, mud, and rocks that I brought in for them. Like, imagine you're this animal, build it. And then we also built container gardens for them to kind of essentially practice being able to garden in a small area. It didn't go as planned, but that's okay. Like, then they learned too, like, here's what I would need to do different at home, or here's what we need to try next time. And then the last image is a student that created a solar oven. So that was how we started second semester. They all had to make solar ovens out of cardboard boxes and aluminum foil and plastic wrap and like tape, just very basic items. And then they got to cook a s'more in it, and they actually got to cook a s'more twice, because the first day we went out, it was too windy and everything blew over. So I was like, okay guys, I'll let you do it again. You can still eat what was left in your oven the first time. So that was just kind of an idea of what we do in exploration of agriculture.
All right, as we move to the high school, one of the great things about all the high school courses that are ag classes, they're all dual credit. So every time a kid takes one of those, and they choose to, they can choose to take it for dual credit or not, they can get 3 credits from Ivy Tech for free. So this is the first one they can take, it's Principles of Ag. In here you see the very first picture. Here's a big group picture. That was a field trip we took to the park where the kids learned about tree identification and created their own tree ID poster, so they can use that to help ID things. The one right below that, you got a young man in there doing a presentation. I believe that presentation was on wildlife habitat and wildlife practices. And then the last picture there is they made a really interesting, this is a new thing we did completely. They made their own popcorn product, so it had to have some sort of interesting twist on it. So it could be like pickle flavored popcorn, which they thought was really interesting. I don't know, it didn't sound very good to me, but and then they made a container including the nutritional labels and the whole 9 yards that goes with that. So I made a whole packaging for it, so it's a pretty neat thing. Okay, plant and soil, that class is our next one. This is the one we use the greenhouse primarily for and spend some time. It also lends itself to be outside a lot. So we just finished our plant sale, probably one of the best plant sales we've ever had. We raised a lot of annuals and sold them to people in the community. And the picture on the bottom left there, those are kids that are looking at different insects and diseases and plants and how those things interact. And then the bottom one there on the right is we had a trip where we were able to do a community service project back in the spring, and they got to install all the plant materials down along the grass strip there next to the train depot. And it looks like it's grass, but it's really not. It's about concrete, about 3 inches of concrete right below the grass. It was really, 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 really hard, but it was an interesting day.
Are those the same, Gabe, are those the same things that are down Central?
Yeah, down Central, right by the train depot. We planted all those.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It was a great day. Beautiful weather.
Yeah, they didn't do Central Avenue, but that's that same thing.
Yeah, same kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
Ag Power, that's the class we talked about where they do welding and small engines work. The 2 pictures on the top there are pictures of kids doing some small engines. We completely tear down and rebuild a single piston Briggs & Stratton engine, and we do that, and we'll do a troubleshooting aspect of it, so they should be able to do some work on their lawn mowers and small engine type products later. There's actually a contest that goes with that where they can actually get, if they do well, they can get a $10,000 scholarship, and they can get that multiple years. So there have been kids in the past, just as close as Liberty, that had their entire schooling paid for by participating in those contests. The bottom picture there on the right is a young man welding. Some kids really, really, really like welding. Most of them have never done it before, and some kids are really scared of it. And it's a pretty interesting thing there. And then the last picture on the left there, this time of year we're working on a wood project, and this is one that a young lady made last year. They get to pick a project that they want to make, and they design it in the whole 9 yards. And this young lady made that one last year.
The next one is animal science. So this is kind of like my baby, quite frankly. This is the area that I love and that just makes me happy each day to get to do. So we have our fish tanks where we started with about 500 fish this year, and I'll take the fall for it. I accidentally killed quite a few of them. So we're down to like 30-ish fish now, but they are the biggest fish we've had in like a long time. So,
We just needed more space.
so they raise them throughout the school year, and then our plan is the last 3 days of school, we're gonna learn how to fillet them, and then we'll fry them and let the kids kind of like reap the benefits of helping raise them and keep them as least smelly as possible all year. So anyways, that one is a really fun one. And then we also have rabbits that we do at least one breeding session with, and talk about like how to time that out and how to time it for the fair so that kids can show them as meat rabbits, and then selling them and how to market them. So that's kind of its own little thing. And then we also last year brought in a therapy dog that my class has been working on training. So I have a background in dog training, and that's kind of how it all like came to fruition. I got a puppy, and Mr. Judd and I kind of talked back and forth about like, how can I make this happen and add this into my curriculum, because there's a lot of behavioral standards to meet. But we weren't really doing a lot with behavior with our animals, because they just weren't animals, like you can't train a fish, you can't. So it was just kind of talking about like how to meet those standards. So we started going through like, here's what Canyon has to be able to do to be a therapy dog for the school, and started just checking things off the list. And so she just came of age to be certified as a therapy dog in March. And there's some like last kinks that we're working out before I want to take her and get tested, because I don't want to set her up for failure and just like, you're a year old, let's get you tested. So there's a few kinks we're working out, and then I'm hoping next year she'll come in and be a certified therapy dog and be able to actually move around the school and do a little bit more than what I allow her to do right now. Oh, the last picture too. So I have also brought in some different dogs to let them kind of see like, it's not all Canyon who's been trained from 6 weeks old, right? Like sometimes you're going to go get a dog from the pound that is 6 years old, 5 years old, and like how do you start to deal with that? And then we end all that by going to the animal shelter. So we have that trip actually this Friday, and we'll do a volunteer day. So like last year they had us clean out a big barn for them, and then they kind of let the kids like walk different dogs and see how different dogs act and see if they can actually take what they've learned working Canyon and put it into play with a dog that they're not necessarily familiar with.
On the next picture there, that's the Advanced Life Science Animals class. This was something that was created a long time ago before dual credit was dual credit. It was one of the very, very first ones, and it's got a really heavy science background in it. You can see in the bottom left picture, a young lady there is looking at some slides of different organ tissues and what they look like and how those things work. In the bottom right picture, the young ladies over there are looking at how different dyes and indicators work to discover pH. And then one of the things we just finished up recently was a fetal pig dissection, where the kids got to actually dissect fetal pigs, go through the organs, identify the organs, and see actually how those things all piece together after we went through multiple units of what those things look like.
All right, we're almost done. So then we were, well, almost done with classes, sorry. So activity day was another kind of like child of mine to take on and try to revamp. So the middle school gave us an opportunity to come in every other Friday and have a group of kids that were interested in learning more about FFA, but they didn't have the class at the time. So this past year with having the class, I was able to take a lot of things that we did in class and kind of like take them to the next level during activity day. So that was really, really cool while we had it. So the past couple of months, they've kind of nixed activity day with testing and all the things, and some teachers that weren't necessarily doing what they wanted activity day to be. So I was really sad because I cared about it and I put the time into it, obviously. But some of the things that we did, so we did like a mini ag day for them, because I know we like to think that like middle schoolers, they know what these animals are for, but they don't. So that was really cool to get to show them even some small animals and talk about small animal production. We went and did a recruitment day at the middle school as well, which was another fun little thing to like get them excited about ag class, get them thinking about the 7th graders taking 8th grade, the 8th graders that didn't take ag taking it in high school. And then just some other fun projects within, like they got to carve pumpkins that were donated from the pumpkin farm in town and some different things. So we were able to talk about pumpkin production and like, hey, don't steal pumpkins out of these yards. They're nice people. They donated to us. And like some different things like that that kind of pulled in the community with Activity Day.
All right. Next time, we got some things to let the girls talk about some accomplishments that the FFA have had over the last year. Been pretty significant. They got some really good kids. I think you guys will be excited to see some of these things.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is our national accomplishments. So the first one for that is that we were nationally ranked as a 1-star chapter this past year, which meant we were one of 20 chapters from Indiana that were able to move on to the national contest and actually be ranked. And that's a whole application about a bunch of the events that we do at our chapter and the goals that we set to make those things happen and how we're bringing kids into that and encouraging involvement. This was only the second time in the past 40 years Connersville FFA has been ranked nationally, which is really a good thing. In 2022, we had a state winner in the wildlife proficiency, and that was Shayla Crawford, and she was actually rated gold nationally. Unfortunately, she didn't win, but she still did really well. We also had a state winner that same year in the Agri-Science Fair in Plant Systems Division 3, and that was Emma Ruff, and she went on to the national contest and was rated bronze nationally. And that is just a science experiment that's related to agriculture. And then just this past year, just over spring break, we found out that I have actually won the Small Animal Care Proficiency, which is a report about my SAE about raising rabbits outside of school time, and it's all of my goals for how I do that and all my finances and stuff like that. So that is what that is.
You will go on national.
Yeah, so I'm going on to nationals submitting May 30th.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Very good.
Okay, so we had our state qualifying crops team that placed 16th out of 53 at state. And what they do there is basically they ID trees, leaves, seeds, and diseases of those plants. Kaylee Hogger and Amy Rao both rated bronze with their proficiencies. Ag Business Management, you take a test over everything in that area, and our state competitors were Nathan, Christina, and Emma. Our Ag Education is where you basically get to create your own lesson plan and you present it to people and you get rated on it. And our State Milk Quality and Production Career Development, we place 6 at state. And basically you try different dairy products and you have to identify the defects in them. And
So now at the district and area level, these are all of our, most of them are all proficiency awards. And again, that is a summary of what our SAEs are outside of school. And so these are the things, whether it be rabbit production, cattle production, grain production with like raising crops or like science projects, all those things that the students do outside of school. They then fill out a report about their goals, their income and expenses, different skills that they have learned through that, and then they submit it to the district contest. And so this past year we had 2 district winners in small animal production and beef production, and then Kaylee Hogger won goat production last year and submitted straight to state this year. And then we got 3 second places, second place in agriculture education, second place in grain production, and second place in plant agri-science. And we had a 3rd place in sheep production. And then we had 2 winners in leadership development events. So we had one in creed speaking, which is where they memorize the FFA creed and have to recite it and then answer questions about it. They get marked as to how word for word they say it, and one word can literally be the difference between winning and not. I should know. And Sam Scholl won that contest this year and will be competing at state this summer. Also competing at state this summer is Maddie and Kaylee Hogger with the animal science demonstration about pulling pigs.
And just a point for clarification as well, so like the district and area level is essentially the sectional level. So it's not, we're working our way toward the state, but not. And then both those young ladies, she just mentioned the Creek Speaking Animal Science, that was the first time in over 40 years either one of those competitions.
Do they go from that, what you call that sectional level, then is it like regionally?
It
or
goes to state.
Right to state?
Well, I should say always. There are some contests that are more, they have a regional contest and
Okay.
some aren't. These ones here go on to the district and then
Okay.
go to state.
Okay.
So this is a continuation of our district and area accomplishments. For our leadership development events, we had natural resource demonstrations, which are 8 to 10 minute presentations. We had one about soil management using cover crop. A multimedia scrapbook, which is a video scrapbook, and we would have brought it today, but it's about 15 minutes long. Prepared public speaking, an 8-minute speech, and we had one over beef marketing. A plant science demonstration, which was about cover crop. Our third place leadership development events were agriculture business demonstration. So it's an 8 to 10 minute presentation. Christina Caldwell presented about planning a farm. Area 7 winners for crops judging team, where you ID crops, weeds, you take a test over all of that, and you identify diseases and nutrient deficiencies.
And with that one individually, the kids ranked first, second, fourth, and fifth in the area, so they did really good at that contest.
So at the district level, we elect officers to kind of help oversee, run contests, plan events, stuff like that, so that the different people in the surrounding counties can get to know each other. And so this past year, I served as the district secretary, and Maddie Hogger served as the district reporter. And slated for this upcoming year, I am slated as the district president, Maddie Hogger is slated as the district vice president, and Emma Rupp is slated as the district reporter. That is basically a proposed, this is what the nominating committee would like to see, and that will be voted on at our state convention in June.
And we're the only school that has that many students, so it's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. 7 total?
Yep.
7 total, so we have 3 to 7.
And then these are some of the pictures from our district contest. So the top left picture is Nate and Emma with their natural resource presentation about soil management with cover crops. And then the top middle is one of the students receiving the award for the scrapbook they created. And then the big picture on the right is our 3 slated district officers. The bottom group picture is everyone that participated and their plaques that they got. So there's a few proficiency plaques and then some plaques for being first, second, or third in their area. And then the picture on the bottom right is Maddie and Kaylee with their pig from their animal science demonstration.
Okay, so these are some of the community service events that we did. The top left is our carp training, where we attend a meeting that farmers have to attend, and they learn, and they get training for that. Right below that is tending the trails, where we go and just pick up trash and litter and just tend the trails, yeah.
And the trails.
And then the bottom left picture is ringing the bell, where we stand outside of TSC and we collect donations for the Salvation Army. Right next to that is Community Day of Service, where we planted plants and trees. The bottom right picture is Farmers Appreciation, where we hand out food to all the farmers that come to Consolidated. We just give them a little appreciation. Right above that is our district work day for state fair, where we helped out at the fair. Next to that, it was our volunteer day at the animal shelter. We cleaned out pens, we cleaned out the barn, we got to play with the dogs and all of that. And then at the very top was our day on the farm, where we had a whole bunch of kids come and look at animals and learn about them.
All right, lastly is SAE. I got a few papers to show you folks here. SAE is a part, basically it's work experience before work experience with school. And this, the paper you're getting handed out is a thing our record keeping system does. It's the economic impact of what the students' work does over the year. And I think it's low because I know the kids don't record all the hours and money they spend on the various projects they're in. You can see that for a total economic impact, they're having an economic impact of $139,000 last year, so it's very significant, something that the kids really work hard on, and they learn some really, really valuable life skills. So I'll show you this next picture here, and this is just a few of the ones that I'd like to show you. They're all different ones, so you can see this young lady here, she owns her own pigs and is working with those. This fella here is also, he has his own too, so it's called entrepreneurship. He has his own, I almost messed up, he either has sheep or goats. The brothers have sheep and goats, I can't remember which one's which. This young man is doing, works at a fertilizer application place, so he's working a job for someone, so he's learning on the job. And this young lady here is actually conducting a science fair experiment where she tried to breed, I wouldn't say science fair, just an experiment where she tried to breed corn to get FFA corn. So she had yellow corn and she found some heritage blue corn and bred that successfully, I should say, and got blue and yellow corn. So it's really, really neat opportunities for the kids to do some really amazing things. So that's all of our presentation. Do you have any questions?
A couple things I'd like to say. First of all, I love the emphasis on small animals and working with them. Have you ever considered, and I could help you there, taking on a project involving tarantulas? I'm serious. They are a small animal.
I would have no problem.
I would run
Okay, thank you.
the other direction.
Second thing I'd like to say is, I love the convention. I was up there working in the federal building. It just, folks, if you've never been, just thousands and thousands of blue coats going around all over.
It's awesome.
I was able to snag, with one, as Marshall snagged, they were all on free time, so I had them come to the federal building, come inside, and just very bright, and they're with it. And I'm kind of weird, I like morbid crime history. And so I threw this at these, I think they were from Lafayette, I think. I know they're the enemies, but there was 5 students from Lafayette. And I threw out there, I took them to an area, I says, is the title Helter Skelter familiar to you? He goes, yeah, there was a movie. I said, and one of them said, yeah, the Beatles made a song, Helter Skelter. I said, very good. Do you know who that was based on? I said, it was Charles Manson. I said, do you realize, and I showed him the room where Charles Manson sat there in the federal building, just kind of weird history, years ago, because his history was starting, he was raised in Indiana, and he stole a car when he was a juvenile, so he was in that particular cell for a while. But they were with it, whatever. And I don't, I'd like to know where our kids is next time during the convention. Maybe I can snack you up. And, it's the federal building is a very beautiful building. If they have free time, I'd love to take them inside. And,
Gabe's favorite thing to prove that they're with it is how many Lilly Scholars in the past.
Oh, we've had 2 in the last 4 years.
He loves to tell people that.
And what I think is terribly interesting is after having a couple in the last couple of years, they've met with other folks, and about 75% statewide of Lilly Scholars are FA members. So I think that's just a tremendous.
Awesome.
Interesting.
These kids were
Shows
bright.
their diversity.
Yeah.
That's what Lilly Scholars work for.
Yeah. And what's really cool is, I'm not saying we do the great things, but we put them in positions that are unique, so they can learn some really cool skills that some other places they just don't get to see. So, pretty neat.
Is the fetal pig dissection the hallmark of the year, the one everything? I'm going to ask the kids this. Is that what you look most forward to?
It depends on who you ask. Some people in the class,
Saying
that
no
is
for
the
her.
reason they signed up, and some people it is the detriment of their year.
Oh.
So.
What about you two? What'd you think?
Maybe they need to do a
I liked
tarantula.
it.
Yes,
You liked it?
no, I would never allow that.
I wanna compliment them as a department because they have gone down to the middle school and their numbers have increased. And I think once we are still working at the middle school to kind of make that schedule, Mary, a little bit better. I know at first Eilish had to kind of suffer some pain, some growing pains, but she was a trooper. And we've heard nothing but positive things from our middle schoolers, and as we schedule for next year, we're working on how we can give more kids opportunities to do it because they really enjoyed it. So kudos to you. I know it wasn't easy, but
it was worth it.
It was worth it, and I think you are gonna see more and more kids request that at middle school. A lot of times they see it at elementary with the Ag Day, have we had that?
We had it today.
We had it today. I was at the hospital
We
today.
cleaned up and came here.
Okay. I was at the hospital today, so I didn't get over there, but I knew it was coming up. But, so a lot of kids get experience there, and then they don't see it again until high school. And so by exposing them at that middle school level, it really kind of keeps some of those kids that are in 4-H really in the forefront of their minds in terms of selecting courses. So kudos to you guys.
My daughter loved it at middle school and she signed up for high school.
Woohoo! Awesome.
Thank you for all the excitement. You're just so.
Yeah,
You know, it's wonderful, and I hope it's
That's
brushing off on the
contagious.
kids,
Contagious.
contagious, you know? And what this says to me, I mean, they put time and effort in it outside the classroom, and hopefully that will give them good work ethics after school to
Amen.
the rest of their life. You know, because this is something they want to do.
Yes.
And time and effort and all that kind of thing, so this is excellent. And all the different choices they have is wonderful, so thank you for all you do. Thank you very much, and congratulations, you know, to
Thank
all
you,
of your
girls. You did
accomplishments.
you did a great job, girls. Thank you so much. All right. Let's move on to the agenda. I'd like to seek a motion to approve the agenda as submitted and amended.
Madam President, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Chris. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now it's time for public comments on agenda items. Seeing none, I will move on. Consent agenda. Approval of the minutes from the executive session of 4/11/23, the regular business meeting of 4/11/23, and the special board meeting public work session of 4/26/23. Personnel report, including retirements, resignations, leaves of absence, etc. The approval of the April 2023 claims number 64761 to 65000. And then donations. A donation of up to $5,000 from Hedro Extrusions to CHS to purchase t-shirts for CHS students participating in Spartan Service Day, and they were lovely, I saw them. A donation of $1,500 from the CHS alumni to purchase a Brighton bench and metal plaque in memory of Curtis Griffin, CHS custodian and past board member. A donation of $1,000 from the Education Fund to Little Spartans Preschool LSP to be used to create an outdoor sensory space. A donation of $600 from the Education Fund to Little Spartan Preschool to be used to increase the number of science, math, and engineering materials in their STEAM space. A donation of $1,228.24 from Clifford Instrument Laboratory Incorporated, a WCC Precision Machining Program to be used to purchase 2 toolboxes for the 2022-2023 outstanding students. And lastly, a donation of 3 cardiac science G5 AEDs from Reed Health to WCC to be placed in the buildings with classrooms. We are always so grateful for the donations. I don't have enough words for the amazing contributors, donators to Fayette County Schools, so that's great.
We're working with Reed now. I talked to them the other day about donating more. They got the 6 more of the AEDs that they're working on getting to us for no charge, so to replace some of our older ones. So they've been a really good partner.
That's great. So I'd like to seek a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Lori. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I got Ryan first.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, on to action items, personnel report, recommendations for employment. Mr. Harris.
I will start with, we have one item recommended for the personnel report, recommending for administrative staff, recommending Kelly Flum as the principal for CHS beginning July 1 officially, and unofficially, I'm sure she'll start running as soon as she's approved.
Thank you. I would like to seek a motion to approve the personnel report.
I'll give that motion.
Thank you, Jeremy. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
If I can make an introduction?
Yes.
Ms. Sloan, if you come to the podium and then I'll read kind of an introduction here. It's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Kelly Flum to the school board and to the community as our recommendation to be the next principal of Connersville High School. I'll give a little background on Kelly. She graduated from Shelbyville Central High School and then earned her Bachelor of Science degree in education from Indiana University Bloomington in 2004. She achieved her master's degree in pre-K through 12 school administration from Indiana Wesleyan in 2019. She has spent her entire educational career in the Fayette County School Corporation. Her first year was spent as an educational assistant in 2004 in a mild interventions classroom before moving to a full-time teaching position in 2005. From 2005 till 2012, she was at Grandview Elementary. 2012 through 2018, Kelly taught kindergarten and 2 years of life skills at Maplewood. In 2018, she moved into administration as the Director of Early Childhood Education and Head Start, and developed the Little Spartans Preschool for our Early Learning Center, where she remained until 2002. For the past year, she has been the Director of our Alternative Education at the Spartan Learning Center. Kelly has also served as the corporation's wellness coordinator since 2017. A little other information, Kelly's been involved in many other activities over the years. During her high school years, she was involved in multiple clubs and organizations, including cheerleading and editor of her yearbook. What I find unique is in college, Kelly got involved in rowing for Indiana University. During the first year, it became a Big Ten varsity team sport. And Kelly is the mom to two Connersville students. Lincoln is a sophomore at the high school, and Leo is an 8th grader at the middle school. But because of Kelly's experience at Little Spartan Preschool, she brings extensive experience in budget and finance, curriculum development, and human resources. So I look forward to Kelly getting started, if I can get it out, and welcome. If you'd like to say a few words, the podium's yours.
I'm just thankful for the opportunity and excited to continue working with all students and families of the school corporation. I've seen it from the bottom now to the top, and it's exciting to see the progression, and I'm ready to jump in and support teachers and students and continue working with a great team of administrators already at the high school, putting our strengths together and making Connersville the best place it can be. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelly. Congratulations. Okay, now we have a visit from our Spartan Preschool Director. Approval of the Head Start fiscal drawdown procedures, Ms. Cameron.
We'll try to make it quick today. So the Head Start program is seeking approval of new drawdown procedures. So in order to maintain compliance and internal controls, moving forward, we'd like to narrow down our procedures a little bit, starting with the first procedure. The fiscal director will provide a drawdown report once a month within 5 days of the first pay period, and the first pay period is the 10th of each month. Then the Head Start director and executive secretary will draw down claims through our payment management system, also known as PMS. We'll use the same paper form I provided in your packet that we've always used that we'll fill out and submit each month. The fiscal director will sign off on those completed drawdowns, and the Head Start program will maintain records for future reviews. Any questions?
Looks like it. I would like to seek a motion to approve the Head Start fiscal drawdown procedures.
I'll give that motion.
Thank you, Jeremy. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, approval of the Head Start American Rescue Fund low-cost extension.
So the Head Start program is seeking approval to apply for a low-cost extension for our American Rescue Funds in the amount of $104,612.38. The original funds were approved by our governing boards for the purchase of a bus. The Office of Head Start notified us in March that the funds would need to be reallocated to supplies and salaries. The reallocation was due to the need for prior approval from the regional office because the funds were higher than $25,000. The closeout date for the American Rescue Funds is June 30th, and so we're asking for a 6-month extension just to allow for all those items in the supplies to be encumbered and spent.
Okay. I would like to seek a motion to approve the Head Start American Rescue Fund low-cost extension.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Lori. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ann. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the Head Start supplemental funds.
Because of our bus situation, we're seeking approval to apply for supplemental funds in the amount of $204,282 for the purchase of 2 Head Start buses. Due to the consolidation of our classrooms to a centralized location, our buses are just getting higher mileage, lots of wear and tear. We currently have approximately 80 students in our Head Start program that are utilizing the buses. And what we found through our community assessment reports is that our families tend to have a vehicle. However, that parent in the family that is working tends to use that vehicle during the day, which limits our transportation to and from school. So that's why the buses are so essential. The purchase of the 2 buses will allow us to provide safe and reliable transportation services and keep the routes to less than 60 minutes.
Okay. I would like to seek a motion to approve the Head Start supplemental funds.
I'll give that motion.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to the approval Head Start door replacement.
So we're also seeking approval for the purchase of a new exterior door on the south side of the building where our Head Start bus children enter and exit in the amount of $17,528.48. Scott Door Services prepared the quote, and it includes removal of the existing door and installation. Our current door has had some issues latching, and the maintenance department has been doing all the upkeep on that. But it's time with safety in mind to get that door fixed.
This is our favorite door, right? The one we talked about a lot.
Well, there's actually 2 sets. So last year
there's
we
another door.
replaced the first one, and this year we'd like to replace the second one.
So what's what's the Jim East door, or was that was on the back of the? So it's the southeast doors, and then it's got Jim East door.
On the quotes.
Yeah.
Is that the small door that's going out to the gym?
Has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that small door that's out.
It's a different kind of door.
It's a different kind of,
Quote. Okay.
yeah.
It's what?
It's a solid door, it's steel door.
Steel door,
Oh,
it doesn't,
okay.
it's just a plain door as opposed to the one with the windows.
Right, it doesn't have any windows
Oh,
or
okay.
anything.
Ramp to it and everything.
Yeah.
Comes out to the.
Okay, all right. Just wondered what that was.
So this would cover both of those doors?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Good.
It doesn't
That was
always,
really
at
the
least when
question.
I was there, it didn't always latch properly.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, we can't have that.
No.
Can't have
Yeah,
that.
so, but I don't know if that's the issue, Daryl, is it still sticking?
No, that was fixed in 1940 when we were there.
Touche.
Really good.
Ooh, man, okay, forget asking that.
Okay, I'm just gonna fly over that
Seeking
one. Motion to approve the Head Start door replacement.
Can we think about that for a bit?
Jeremy?
I
I'll give that motion.
Thank you,
Of course you
Jeremy.
would.
Thank you, Ryan. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
And I was there in 1967.
Did it stick then?
67.
Did it stick in 67?
I couldn't tell you.
I was there in 63.
Okay.
So it was a brand new building.
Yeah, in 60, it was more than 60. It was built in 60.
Okay, now we're on to the approval of the 2024 Teacher of the Year, Ms. Corsaro.
Okay. I have the privilege of recommending to you tonight the 2024 Teacher of the Year for Fayette County Schools. And at this time, I would like to recognize Miss Chelsea Lucas from kindergarten at Fayette Central. Please come forward and bring your husband if you want to. He's like, no, I'm here.
He does a lot of work
Kirsten,
behind
you
the
want to come up?
scenes. I'm gonna take her picture.
Okay, all right. I believe you started your student teaching at Fayette Central and never left.
I'm stuck
Who
there.
did you do your student teaching with?
Davita Cox.
Davita Cox. Okay, so she graduated from IUPUI in 2013, then went back to IU East to receive her Bachelor's of Science in Elementary Education. In 2014, she did her student teaching at Fayette Central, and she has been there since 2014 and teaching kindergarten. And I can tell you firsthand, whenever we need someone to step up to do any kind of curriculum work or leadership roles for the kindergarten, Chelsea is a go-getter. She is the first to volunteer. She doesn't mind doing things in the summer after school. She's also on the employability, right? Employability skills grant that we're doing K-12. So I want to make sure the board recognizes how much time she puts in addition to what she does all day with those 5-year-olds, and they're exhausting, as we all know. But her class is always buzzing, and they're doing yoga. When Scott and I went, they were doing yoga, and it was just really neat to see her interacting with the kids. And so I want to compliment you and congratulate you on FCSC 2024 Teacher of the Year.
And every time I've been in her classroom over the years, it's always, I hate to leave. Both kindergarten classrooms,
Yes, they're-
just high energy, and
I appreciate that.
it's so much fun, so.
Anything you want to share tonight?
Well, bear in mind, I'm used to speaking in front of 5-year-olds. This is a different crowd.
Well, we've got a couple over here.
First of all, I would like to say thank you to Mrs. Phillips and the staff at Fayette Central. Teaching is a team sport, and I definitely work with a great team, and so it wasn't just me. Also, God has given me a passion for teaching, and so while I don't go looking for awards, it's nice to be acknowledged for the work. And as a former student of Fayette County Schools and a CHS graduate, I am grateful that I got to come back to my community and be a part of it and help our littlest Spartans have a great start to their careers here. So I appreciate everyone. I appreciate the honor, so thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You want to take her picture? Okay.
She didn't knock it out.
She'll submit her info at this.
Yeah, she'll submit her info to the state, and then she will become one of the many finalists, and then they do a process of narrowing that down until they come to the Teacher of the Year for the state of Indiana.
We've had finalists.
We have had finalists, yes. I think Kim Geesteen was a winner.
Kim was a winner.
Yeah, I believe she may have been the only, I don't know, maybe in 1950 we may have had some.
Milwaukee was a finalist recently.
We've had several finalists,
We had
but I
a
think
lot of
Kim was the
top
only
25
one
too.
that made it all the way.
Kim was the teacher of the
Yeah,
year.
she went to Antarctica.
Cool.
Yeah, she had a great
Yeah.
experience, so,
Yeah.
and well-deserved as well.
Well, thank you. Okay, now we move on to,
But you need to make a,
yes, we do need
We need
to
to
vote
approve
on
it.
that one. I would like to seek a motion to approve the 2024 Teacher of the Year.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Marcia.
I'll make a second.
Thank you, Lori. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations again.
And she smiled about the whole time.
She always
I keep
smiles.
looking over there and this
She's
big beautiful
smiling.
smile.
Thank you.
And that's what the kids see every day, so you're a gift to them.
Oh, thank you.
You are
I
a
appreciate
gift.
that.
Thank you.
All right, and now it is time for persons wishing to make the board aware of suggestions, ideas, or comments may address the board at this time. Comments which involve personnel or students must be discussed in private. And we have one comment from Sadie Wilson.
Good evening. For those of you who may not be familiar with who I am Sadie Wilson. I am the current, soon-to-be former choral director at Connersville High School. Tonight, I just have a couple of comments for you. As teachers, we are always being asked in staff meetings, in our several professional development sessions that we have, to remember our why. And it is so important that teachers remember why we do what we do. And so tonight I have come to ask you to consider what your why is. Why are you here in this room tonight? Why have some of you run for the seats that you have on the school board? And I ask you to consider that very seriously and very deeply. And I just ask you to remember who you are here to serve. You are here to serve the majority of our community and the needs of that majority, and not the wishes or the wants of just a couple. So I do ask you to contemplate that in regards to any decisions you might make in the future for Fayette County Schools, because without the teachers and the students, you wouldn't have a job. You wouldn't be here in this room right now. So I do ask you to remember the importance of our faculty and the importance of our students in every decision that you make. And in doing that, I would just ask and recommend that you speak with teachers who are in our schools today, speak with our current and highly qualified administrators who are in our buildings every single day. We are in the trenches, and if you are not speaking to those people, if you are not having those hard discussions, there is absolutely no way that you could do your job adequately. So I am here to just ask you to consider doing those things, coming to our events and being part of our community at Connersville High School. And while I'm at it, I would like to personally invite all of you to my last concert, which is this Friday. It'll be held in the REW Auditorium at Connersville High School at 7 p.m. And I would love to see each and every one of you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadie.
Thank you.
Okay. Superintendent discussion group reports, which we often don't have. Principal director reports. Anybody?
I was just going to give a shout out to Amanda Combs. She organized the Spartan Service Day last week. A lot of hard work and time went in. She had some teacher volunteers, and she put in a lot of hours after school on the weekends, going around to community members and securing those resources for the high school students. So there were freshmen and sophomores that went out to the public and served their community, and the juniors and seniors did some adult sessions within the building. So shout out to Amanda.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Those kids came out and they worked really hard at Fayette Central and did a lot of weeding and cleaning up. So it was nice to see former students come back to their roots, and service is a big thing in my heart. It's also Teacher Appreciation Week, and so a shout out to all of our teachers, especially my Fayette Central staff. We have lots of fun things for all of them this week, and so I appreciate all the work that they do for our kids every day.
Thank you. Not seeing any others. We'll move on to the Director of Operations report.
I've got a few different items tonight. First, you have the fund report with you. And I'm going to take that, and you can see that we're still in good condition there, but take and lead into a little bit of the legislative session, a little bit of the preview. I'm actually going to be going to the state IASBO conference up in Fort Wayne as we hear presentations and meet with state people and all those kind of things, but a lot will be a summary of the legislative session that Denny Casterson will put on. If you're not aware of it, the last week of the legislative session was the typical end of the session chaos. We found out, I don't know, it was like 10 o'clock. I didn't even find out until a little bit later, but Scott gave me the next to the last budget run, I guess it was, on what our legislature was about to do. We found out from the from the legislative services that the state was anticipating $1.5 billion in revenue above what they had originally planned on. Came back with a very positive budget review. And then they were waiting to make the last, what they call budget run, which tells every school an approximate of what they're going to get if the school district has the number of students that they say they're going to have, and the dollars come from the legislature, here's what you're going to get. And on the very next legislative run, after finding out they were going to have 1.5 additional billions of dollars, I looked at our budget run and it was less than the previous budget run. It's not very often that it happens, but I will be calmer here than I was on the phone. I just plain got ticked off. And so I called our state representative, I called our state senator, I called their offices and expressed my extreme displeasure with it and said I couldn't tolerate what was going on, I could not support it. Likewise, I live in a different congressional district, so I called my local state representative and I called my local senator for where I live, and I also yelled at those two offices. It just so happens my state representative's on the House Ways and Means Committee. So I yelled at those four state legislative offices. Later that day, they did a quote-unquote final budget run, and just for Fayette County schools, I'm not talking about the whole state, but the next to the last run we had, and the final run, there was about a $400,000 positive difference to that budget run. And I know I sure wasn't the only one. I know there were boards around the state, there were other business executives, there were superintendents, there were a lot of school people that said, this doesn't cut it. But as much as I appreciate what they did there, at the same time, I believe the last figure, and I will find out the final totals because we have, like I said, multiple presentations there. I believe that the state, I think, increased their funding for charters and vouchers from about $350 billion to $350 million to $1.2 billion. They got like a 66, whatever, a huge increase to charters and voucher schools. So I don't agree with that. I haven't agreed with it from day one, but we elect them and that's what we get. So anyway, we'll find out more as far as the budget goes as time goes on. Like I said, there's kind of the preliminary information now. There's another meeting statewide in June, and then we get into the budget season and we'll be worrying about the budget for 2024. Other items. Assuming that the board is still in agreement, I know we've got a whole lot that we're investigating and looking on. I finally got to have the information. Unless I see a board saying no, I anticipate in the next 3 to 4 weeks that we will be bidding or seeking quotes for a new baseball diamond. It'll be one of those that I will be seeking the quotes from the approval you gave me a couple of months ago, and then it will be coming back to the board. So I guess what I would want to tell you is it's going to be going out. Likewise, I don't know where the pricing is going in. I know we've all seen some preliminary pricing and those kind of things from our building people from Skillman and from Gibraltar, but it will be one of those before any movement is done. It'll be coming back to the board. If it's, $30 gazillion, you go, holy cow, we can't do that, then the board will have the right to do it. If it's where we think that it will be, I have some funds that I've already put into the budget for this year to pay for a new baseball diamond out of existing corporation funds, not bond funds, not other things. Seeing Mr. Nabi back there, we also went out, we picked, he picked the prep period, I guess I picked the day. We could have had an hour meeting if it were today. The day we went out there was like, hey, there's the area we were talking, and Gabe goes, okay, looks good, let's get back in our vehicles and go. So both Daryl and Gabe and myself, all three of us went out there and we talked about kind of the area and showed that to them. So we're working on that, unless I see a bunch of no's, but like I said, they're still, we'll seek the information and see where it comes in. The last thing I've got to talk about food service a little bit. Traditionally, we've came to this board meeting to approve Chartwell's extension. We still haven't received the approval from the state we need, so I expect that will be back at the June board meeting. And the summer food program, as you know, with COVID and all that over the last year, it's evolved in a whole lot of different ways. And for the summer program this year, and this was before my time because of COVID, but remember the food truck going around and all of those kind of things? The negative was that we had to feed at the various sites and the people had to eat inside, they couldn't just take it with them. We found over time that if we provide bulk food to them, we have more families pick it up, more food goes out, and it really serves the community better. So this summer they will be doing multiple stops, but it will be one day per week at the stops, and they will be providing for those that show up breakfast and lunch for 5 days. So they would be there on Monday, they would get breakfast for Monday through Friday, they would get lunch Monday through Friday. They don't have to come back every day, they don't have to eat on the truck, and they'll be able to take it with them. So we think that serves the needs of the kids better. Our lunch numbers are higher, and they have more flexibility with it also. So I don't know if there's any questions with any of those items.
Appreciate that, good information.
Something in the Indianapolis Star on Sunday about charter schools, and the ones that were successful, the ones that were not successful, and it's depressing. Because it's the accountability piece. It's just not there. And there's a whole list of them, and how much money was spent, and then how long they existed, and how much money they spent in the time that they did exist. And it was awful. I don't know what we do about writing our legislators, but it was just astounding to me that you had this much money, and what did you spend it on? You clearly didn't do a very good job, and we left families, this was all just in Marion County, and they left families with no place to send their kids. It was really eye-opening. It was a big expose in the Indianapolis Star last Sunday. So anybody that's interested, talk to your legislators, because if that's just Marion County across the state, it has to be worse.
Well, I will go back and look at that because I haven't seen that article. But the other thing that I try to remind our legislators of, when I say ours, I'm looking at East Central Indiana. I'm not looking even at just Fayette County. It amazes me the dollars, and there's some spreadsheets out there, of the dollars that do not go to kids in Fayette County that are used for charter schools, mainly in Allen County, Marion County, and Vanderburgh County. That's the majority of them. We see a lot of dollars taken out of our counties to support charters and vouchers, and we don't see anything coming into it. And yet our legislators continue to pour money into those. For what reason, I don't know. I really don't.
The article, it started on the front page, and then it was quite extensive, but it was really interesting reading. The storefront schools. The storefront schools. And that's scary. That's really scary because it does a disservice to taxpayers, and it does a bigger disservice to the kids because they're not getting a quality education.
Is there still one at Circle Center?
Yeah, they talked about that. Well, what struck me was the Tindleys. The Tindleys, because that was the only game that the basketball team lost in 2017 was to Tindley Academy. And it's a 1A, obviously, but the amount of money that they spent on that school, which is no longer in existence, it was scary, because you think of where that could have gone in a more positive kind of place. But I don't know if we'll ever convince the legislature. They just ban books, so.
And other things.
And the textbook fees too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they cut those out, right?
So they're just shuffling money to make us take on more costs.
Right, because they were going to reduce the textbook fees, right?
Well, I believe that they still, again, I'm still getting up, because this conference, they kind of uses the time to really give us the down and dirty of what we're going to see. My understanding, when it was originally proposed, there was a line item in the budget for textbooks. When it ultimately came out, I believe that the parents are going to not have to pay for textbooks, but it just comes out of our budget.
So where do we come up with that?
Just have to come out of our funds.
Comes out of our general fund, or out of our education fund?
Any increases we get also would help to offset that instead of being able to use it for salaries and other things. All that good stuff. Thank you, even though it
I
wasn't.
didn't want to be so depressing, but.
Okay, assistant soup report.
Just have a couple shout outs and then a few discussion items. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Gabe and your Ag Day. Again, I apologize, my son was in the hospital, I wasn't able to be there, but I know the kids love it, and I know it's a tremendous amount of work to move everything from the high school and all those animals. I have only moved goats and it was very torturous, so I can't imagine moving all that you move. Also want to compliment the CHS Service Day. I think a lot of businesses got to see our high school students in a very positive light. Amanda Combs sometimes goes under the radar, but she does so much for kids. She is also one of our teachers who participates in night school. So if we have kids who have struggles with math, she also teaches the upper level math courses, and I believe she's still teaching at Ivy Tech, or I think she's also doing a college class as well. So I talked to her after the service day, and she was very happy with the outcome. And I think she's looking forward to learning from some of the things that happened this year and making it even better next year. But it's great to see our kids out and about. We did have, speaking of bills that pass and different things that are coming down our way, we were going to have Mr. Liggett and Crystal Frank talk about graduation pathways and how those are earned. However, there is a new bill that recently passed that is going to change how we can utilize ASVAB as one of those assessments in those grad pathways. So we're going to push that down the road a little bit.
That's the military exam?
Yes.
Okay, just to be clear for people.
In the past, we've been able to utilize that as to completion to one of the pathways. Now they're saying that if they use the ASVAB, that they must sign up for the military. And a lot of kids don't want to sign up for the military, but they are very successful at that exam. So we're kind of waiting until Randy gets back with all of the language and how that's going to impact us. And we didn't want to present something that wasn't accurate because it is changing. Also, you might have noticed that we haven't approved student handbooks. Usually by this time, we've already have them approved. They have gone to the attorney. However, her recommendation was, again, we wait until the end of April to see what bills have passed and how that's going to impact us. And there were two pretty large bills that, once we see how the state is going to address them, are going to impact our student handbooks. So instead of voting for them and then having to change them and then bring them back, our goal is to bring them to you in June, but that is the reason for the delay, because we just aren't sure how those are going to impact our student handbooks. And Michelle just kind of wanted to put the pause on that until we know exactly how the state's going to interpret those bills and how that's going to trickle down to us and impact us. Again, as Kirsten said, it is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I want to thank all of the teachers that are here and that are out there. I've had 3 kids go through the system. I still have 1. Gabe's going to be, he's staying as long as he possibly can. I know Gabe's had my Gabe, and Hannah Horn currently has Gabe, and she does a fabulous job. Life Skills is a tough class to teach, and she came to us this year to do transition to teaching, and she's done a wonderful job. And sometimes I think Life Skills, they are their own little world, and they don't always get the recognition that they deserve, but that's one of the hardest jobs out there. And that team that we have at the high school and middle school and elementary, they're doing great things for those kiddos. So
maybe they can present to us at some point. That would be
yeah,
nice.
they haven't presented for a while.
Yeah.
Now that COVID has left us, maybe we'll bring them back. But
Yeah, I'd
I
like
know
to
they
know
do.
more about their programs.
Yeah, they do a lot of great things as well. Finally, the last thing is this restorative practice packet that I handed out to you last month. If there's any questions or any comments that you have from that, or if you want more information, I'm going to try to circle back after we get all of the year-long data that we can correlate from the last 2 years and present again. But I didn't want you to think that I had forgotten about that. And then last, we had prom. It was a beautiful day. I know Franklin County had a cold, rainy day. Kelly Dungan and her team, they did a great job, and the promenade was really sweet. And I think one of our own was actually there in her
And my
ball
picture
gown.
taken with my granddaughter. It was wonderful. The kids were great. They all looked beautiful. The dresses were I don't even want to think how much was spent. But
Yeah, we don't
they
wanna know
were-
that.
They were beautiful, they were elegant, and the kids were so well behaved.
Yeah, I heard that from all the administration.
It was just, it was so cool, and they kind of looked at me strangely, who's this old woman here? But then they figured out it was Lydia's grandma, so this is cool. But it was just really a great experience, and everybody, they put in so much hard work.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes
Oh,
that
yeah.
people don't even with
Yeah.
fundraising and decorating
And I had some Spartan stuff. It's a snack mix, and it's like Chex
Oh, that's
Mix,
right.
only it has hot Fritos in it. I would not suggest eating it unless you know the Fritos are hot. They just looked red. Bad idea. But we all survived it.
Yeah.
It was great. We had a really super good time.
All right, thank you. Superintendent's report.
Thank you. Reminder, May 15th, we will have the community meeting. Randy and I talked with Gibraltar today about that plan, 6 p.m. at the middle school auditorium. So the format we talked through with, I'll do a welcome introduction and then turn it over to them to go through the slides and information about the facilities, and then have a time where the public can ask questions, provide comments. We're going to track all those, document those, put them in an FAQ, and then we'll have those in the presentation on the website. So that'll be the direction, if that sounds okay with you all. Don't know what kind of audience we'll have, but I hope a lot of people can come out.
Yeah.
So 6 p.m. Monday, the 15th, at the CMS auditorium. Some records dropped recently, and I know the boys are really close, but I just want to shout out because it's a big deal for these kids who work so hard in any of our athletics. But Caitlin Seeley and Nia Bennett, JC Allen, and Kiera McKinney, 4x100 team at CHS, broke a record that had been in place since 1976. And that record, they had originally been 49.4 seconds. They ran it at 49.19 at Greenfield Central.
That's huge.
And then Nia Bennett, she's just an incredible athlete. She broke the 100 meter. It was standing by Sarah Bernzot in 2009, 12 seconds, 12.30 seconds, and she ran it in 11.92.
Wow.
And then in the 200, Rachel Nicholson held that since 1982, 25.7, and she ran it 24.54, so over a second. And she's a freshman, and right now those are the top times in the state, I understand.
Yes.
So, and I know the boys are how far away?
As of their last running, they were 4 seconds off. They each needed, in the 4x8,
Yeah.
they each needed to trim a second. Tonight, they were 1.43 seconds
They're gonna
off.
get it.
And that's before tapering for
Oh,
sectionals.
yay. That's so exciting.
Hopefully.
And then, yeah, so how's it going? Dad here,
Are they,
we doing well?
do you have the score, or are they?
Well, I just had that 4x8.
Oh.
They ran it in 8:20:04, and they were 1.43 seconds off the record.
But they
But
won.
they're waiting on the 400 right now. Yeah, they won. They were in first place in the 4x8.
Okay. And then our golf team, we're still waiting to find out for sure, but they believe that was the lowest score in a meet, so I haven't heard anything more from Coach Martin, but that was pretty cool that they may have broken the high school record for boys golf, so.
Yeah, it's a shame those records weren't kept better, so that there wasn't so much question about it.
Yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to congratulate those kiddos.
Chloe Keel broke the middle school record on Saturday
I didn't-
at the Connorsville Invitational in the 400, and she was almost a full set, I can't remember the exact numbers because we were having Wi-Fi problems, but it was almost a full second off, and that had stood since 1987.
Wow.
And the relay team did well also, but again, I think it's a matter of keeping records, particularly at the middle school level, but it was like, whoa.
I'd like to also mention the 4x1 boys team. The 4x1 girls broke that record, but the boys team this year broke a record, and then they've just continued to re-break that record
Yeah.
almost
That's
every
right.
meet.
Can't keep track of them.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Thank you. Okay, for the good of the cause? I wanted to shout out to Fayette Central. I went to the Kiwanis Pancake Breakfast on Saturday, and one of the Kiwanis, good old Billy Wason, pulled me aside to say, "You see these kiddos here?
Ms. Phillips started a K-Youth, I don't know what's it called?
K-Kids.
K-Kids. And I think you had, I could be wrong, maybe three kids there?
And they will be at the meeting next week.
Yeah, and so he said that was started by you to get the kids involved in Kiwanis, and I just think that's fabulous. It was really cool. They were back behind, like doing the squeeze, the pancake mix onto the thing. So that was just great to see. Anything else from anybody?
Well, they had to be better pancakes if Billy wasn't cooking them than if the kids were, so.
I ate one by Dan Flum, so I don't know, Bill, I didn't eat Billy's, but.
I eat Joe King's.
Oh, okay, well, there you go, they were good. Okay, sir,
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
may I hear a second? Second. Thank you, Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand, opposed same sign. Meeting